Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with some Epic 2, and I am, of course, with my co-host, Mr. Klaesick. How you doing today, my dude?
Butt sauce. Sign my petition, damn it.
What? What's that a
Sign my
reference to?
petition. Postal 2. Uh, the petition is about, forcing congressmen to play violent video games, so.
You and your Zoomers. Or you and you Zoomers and your petitions, although I've done my fair share of that in my time, too,
I
so...
mean, it's Earth Day coming up by the time of recording this, so.
Oh, that's true, yeah, that's this weekend, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I did put a thing on a petition to keep Splash Mountain the way it was, though, so.
That's a Mario Sunshine thing, if I remember correctly.
No, that's Splash Mountain is Disneyland.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, they were changing that out, so.
Really, I haven't heard about the
Because
controversy.
apparently it was too racist. Even I don't think it was.
Okay,
Um, yeah,
why are people saying it was racist?
because it used characters specifically like a bear, a fox, and a rabbit from the Song of the South movie.
Oh yeah, Brer Rabbit. I
Yeah,
remember studying that in high
yeah.
school. Yeah,
I don't think those characters are like bad, but if they actually felt like racist depictions of black people, then I could understand. Like, yeah, okay, you should change it out, but.
I have never seen Song of the South, and so I do not have authority to speak on that.
Yeah, I haven't either, and I don't plan to
I am
because
I am also white, so I really should say nothing. But like I said, I have no opinion, having never seen it and having no nostalgia for it.
yeah,
It is
fair enough.
interesting. It is interesting though, having grown up in the South. It wasn't too unusual to like go to like general stores and see like bootleg DVDs of it being sold. So I do think there is like a small subculture of people who like still watch it and like it. Um, but whatever.
They'll they'll never those damn Yankees will never get us.
You're from Colorado. I'm just messing
We're
around.
the, yeah. I just watched a lot of Autumn Shape films as Checkmate Lincolnite. So
You just watch a lot of what kind of films?
Autumn Shea Films Checkmate Lincolnite series.
Okay, far out. Cool. What are those like? I'm not familiar with them.
It's basically a series where like the there's like two characters that are played by the same person. One is a Confederate soldier and the other is a Union soldier. And they basically break down arguments against the South,
Okay.
like dismantling myths, like the Lost Cause myth or whatever. And he uses actual comments, like hateful comments from his comment section, and just makes the Confederate character say them out loud.
Interesting. Yeah,
I think it's pretty funny.
yeah. A lot of the kind of the modern Confederacy sentiment, as I understand it, is pretty unfounded. Um,
I think it's also coming from people trying to rationalize uh, what they did through like a 21st century lens. Like for
well,
example,
it's not even what
or
they
like
did; it's what their ancestors of old did. From
yeah, and then they're trying to justify that because you don't want your great great grandpappy to be a plantation slave owning racist.
yeah. I mean, they always say that like history will never make you comfortable, no matter who you are. I mean,
Yeah,
basically, we're all horrible, horrible, horrible people. Um, and and we have a horrible, horrible, horrible history. So, and that applies to anyone, anywhere. I mean, if you look at English history or Dutch history, is surprisingly really dark.
we shouldn't try to glorify history, basically.
Yeah, I mean, there's always the films which like portray it as like, oh, nothing bad ever happened. Everyone, everyone got along. Um,
I
no,
wish that was the case, but it didn't happen.
many people did not get along. Also, I am getting
There was,
wrecked by these Hell
um,
Knights.
I've been. There was a video by Wendigoon that came out recently about the novel Blood Meridian. If you've heard of that,
The novel what?
Blood Meridian from the same guy who made The Road, I think, and No Country for Old Men.
Oh, Cormac McCarthy came out with another book?
No, it was released in 1985. He was just talking about the book. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say,
Blood Meridian. So
but this is the guy who wrote The Road, you said.
yeah.
Oh, The
Mhm.
Road is one of my favorite books of all time, so I had not heard of that. I'll have to check that out.
Blood Meridian is considered like one of the is considered one of the American novels. Actually, I think that's what they're called.
Interesting.
It is a very, very violent and very dark thing. Like, viewer. I wouldn't say viewer. Reader discretion advised.
Well, that's apropos for that writer. The Road is one of my favorite books, but it's also one of the darkest and most depressing books I've ever read.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the premise of it by any chance?
Yeah, it's dad and son in a post-apocalyptic world just trying to get by.
Yeah. There was a really good movie made about it, or with that same plot, back in, I want to say 2009 or 10? Something like that. With Viggo Mortensen, good old Aragorn. Which very, very well captures the spirit of the book. Hella depressing, but an interesting snapshot on humanity. I like it, even though it's very, very sad.
I did want to watch No Country for Old Men sometime too, which was another McCarthy adaptation. I've heard Blood Meridian is kind of unfilmable because it's even more graphic and depressing than his usual stories.
Oh yeah.
Like there is like literal there's like alludes to like children being ex-school slaves, and that's very bad.
Holy shit.
It's very, very bad.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Yeah, like it's almost cartoonishly evil. I'd say almost, but frightening though.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the reason I like his books is they hold no pretense or romantic ideas about the goodness of humanity. They show the worst aspects of it in kind of blinding clarity in a way that is, in a way, refreshing, even though they are extremely sad. I think it's refreshing because it feels very honest, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Welcome to our happy Doom stream, everyone.
We're supposed to be chill, yet we're talking about the guy who made the books about that sad post-apocalyptic one, and the one where scalping of Native Americans is a common occurrence. So.
Yep. Well, I mean, the world is
happy joy.
Happy joy. Isn't that a Ren and Stimpy thing? I think I've heard that before.
I last heard it on an Incredibles YouTube poop. So.
I picked it up. Darn. Oh well. But no, it's yeah, I mean, it's important to stay positive and try to see the best in people, but I think in order to do that in a sense that feels honest,
you have to acknowledge the bad people have done.
Yeah, you need to acknowledge the really black parts of humanity. I don't mean that in terms of race. I mean just like depressing and dark parts of our souls, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What the hell? Oh.
That's why we have art, so.
Precisely. You were talking about, there was a movie, Mary and Max, I think, which kind of seems like it talks a little bit about that, because there's like issues with autism and then also like suicide in that movie, right?
Yeah. I really love its depiction of autism because it's very honest, but also while also being friendly and also not putting us on a pedestal. Because it seems like either we're like a bunch of idiotic, semi-functional human beings that are basically Down syndrome light, or it's just like we're the most intelligent, kind of, I guess, I don't know, demigods or whatever. That's not fair.
It's like you're either Albert Einstein or, I don't know, that character from, what's that movie, Tropic Thunder, who's like really stupid. And there's like no in between. Whereas the way my girlfriend says it, and she's on the autistic spectrum, is it's kind of like having, depression or an anxiety disorder. It's just something you have in your head that you can't really get rid of, that you just kind of have to make work, which makes socialization and talking to people really difficult, and just makes it really tough to like interact in a normal way in human society, I guess. Which
That's kind of how I describe it, but of course, every autistic person's case is different. Different, like there are some who just genuinely really can't communicate,
oh sure,
and then
yeah.
well, others are basically just like functioning normal.
I mean
I've had a
that's
friend describe me and my twin sister. Interestingly, he doesn't have autism, but she inherited some of the autistic traits from me. I remember
really.
a friend said, "In 20 years, you'll be like completely normal, and in like 20 years, she'll be the autistic one."
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like something where, and again, I've seen this with Caitlin, where it's like you learn how to survive and how to live with it and how to like be in the world and so forth. But it is a struggle, and it is kind of like learning how to communicate with the world and so forth.
I
Um,
wouldn't get rid of it if I could, but at the same time, autism causes a lot of stress and mental anguish, so
I can
which isn't
understand.
fun. So.
It's I'm happy to hear that you wouldn't change it, because I like you the way you. Well, I mean, I always want you to live your best life, but I like you the way you are, and I think you're a cool guy. But
Thank you.
it's also, yeah. Caitlin says the same thing, where it's like, um, it does make things really difficult, but it is a part of who she is, and it gives her a perspective which she really enjoys and that she really appreciates having. So, um, and I think
It
there's,
gives me the ability to think deeply about a lot of things, which I appreciate, but also completely racks my brain with like the most minor inconveniences that will blow completely out of proportion. So
yeah, that's something, because like I also have one of my best friends from graduate school is also autistic, and I'll say like one through line with you and, ooh, I didn't even see this, you and her and Caitlin is like, you all like have very deep and very like, I almost want to say like pure perspectives on things in life, which is very refreshing. It's almost like you have a clearer vision on how things work, but you also have more difficulty socialization and so forth, and so, but
and that's why I like the movie Mary Max so much. His character Max, of course, he had a very deep understanding of the world, um, what it was like, sort of similar to me, while at the same time, his anxiety attacks are also very familiar to me.
it feels very honest in a way, yeah, which I really,
Without being demeaning or overly praising.
yeah, exactly. Um, no, absolutely. Also, this is a cool
He's
room.
also a member of the Communist Party, so I can relate, not because I'm a communist, but because I'm generally socialistic, so.
I am too. I think, not to, I guess not to toot our own horn, but I think most reasonable people who live in America can at least see the value in socialist systems, or at least aspects of socialism.
I'd
Um,
say it's very divided. Like one time you'll have people trapped in the 50s, or basically communism is 1984, and then the
yeah.
other, and then on the other hand, people really like it. I think it's just we're very divided. So it's I either see like you either completely hate communism or you love communism.
Well,
Personally,
yeah.
I'm kind of indifferent to it actually
Well, and I
because
think,
I'm not too familiar with it, um, and I'm not sure if how far it goes is good enough. But at the same time, I don't trust capitalism that much either.
I
But
think, yeah. Well, I think you can also have socialistic elements in a democracy. So I think, and I'm feel so stupid. I should know the distinction here, but like I'm pretty sure communism is a form of governance where all economic activity is regulated by the state, whereas socialism is more of a governmental system that is compatible with capitalism, which is more the government takes more control of like welfare, education, and some aspects of like the state. I think. I'll try
kind
to.
of. Here's what I think of.
You
At
have
least when
access to a
I've heard of
computer. And
communism.
I'm very tired, so please correct me. I'm so sorry for not knowing this off the top of my head. Also, before I leave
No,
this
you're
room,
good.
I just want to have a little moment of appreciation. Look at this room. This is so cool. It's like,
We really like the flower petal type.
actually,
I guess background.
I actually was gonna say,
Not background. Or
I was gonna say it looks like gold coins. Like I think the floor is just littered with gold coins. That's so cool, and I love like the
that's fair enough.
intricate pattern on the roof. It's such cool detailing. I love it. So I'm sorry. Please enlighten me. What's the difference? Which I should know. Actually.
Communism is not control of the state. Uh, no quote unquote communist state was ever communist,
Okay.
or like, I guess, truly communist. Communism, I'd say, it's collective in the hands of the people. Think of it less. It doesn't work for big governments. It works for small communities. If you have like a small group of people, then you basically could think of a communist system relatively easily, and it would probably work relatively easily.
Okay.
Thing is, I kind of distrust communism as I guess, the next stage of human development, because we're in a world that is, unless some big disaster happens, is permanently big now. We're permanently kind of globalized, and I don't think
Yeah.
a system where very decentralized control could work reasonably well.
I tend to agree. Yeah. Unless there's like a major like apocalypse or something where just like network communications break down on like a molecular level and we literally can't travel to each other or communicate with each other, we're probably stuck like this for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of more of a socialist, because that's more of like stuff is in control of the state, and kind of
It's
people. I think it depends, because socialism. One thing I've learned from being in left wing spaces for a while, although I'm not really as much into them anymore as I was, like, say, 2020.
yeah.
Leftists tend to like hate each other.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I can attest to that. Being a leftist
yeah,
myself.
yeah. I've heard we hate each other more than we hate the right. So
Well, I think in theory we should be united against the forces of, conservatism and so forth. But yeah, in practice, we tend to squabble over our petty differences a lot too much,
yeah,
which is a shame. I think we all kind of want the same thing. Ooh, 100% kills, nice.
it's just that specifics, we don't know exactly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I don't know how to fix that. I think because we're human, we're always going to have differences in how we interpret the importance of certain things. Also, I have played like the first 5 minutes of this map, which is how I knew to do that. Actually, I played it with you in
Nice.
Dark Pulse not too long ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough to know. I think I was actually having a conversation with someone in Sandy's Discord about this today, where I was like, you try so hard to change people's minds, but there's inevitably a lot of disagreement. So I guess the philosophy I've kind of worked into is you just try to do
I think it's
what you think is
because,
important, and then
yeah,
just be satisfied with the work of your own two hands as much as you can, because while you should try to change the world, it's also not your responsibility to be solely responsible for it.
yeah. I think the reason why leftists tend to be divided more than conservatives, although conservatives tend to be divided, is because we're very progress forward in a system that is very, and most systems tend to be like, we're sticking this way forever.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's a lot easier for conservatives to get around a certain ideal, like for, like, say, this was always a social norm, and we generally agree that we should keep these social norms. It's just mainly the extent.
that's a very good point, and that's actually very compelling. You're a wise dude, Klaesick, but like, It's like it's very easy to say I don't like we should keep things exactly as they are, than to say things need to be different and here's how. Um, I think a lot of people tend to be disgruntled with how things operate in the current world. A lot of people know that things could be better, but some people say we should go back to what worked in the past when, it might have worked for some people, but I think people tend to romanticize
Ted
the past a lot.
Krasinski. Yeah, haha. I know
Yes.
a lot of people like the industrial revolution and its consequences, but he was a radical dude who bombed a lot of people, and I don't trust him. So
Neither do I. Well, and it's like, sure, there, you know, if we could, if we could make that transition perfectly and like live close to the earth and live kindly with it, that'd be great. But the likelihood of that happening, and like without massive bloodshed and death, is like super low, because like old farming techniques literally can't support, even a fraction of the current world's population. So, oh god.
I don't think a lot of the technologies we have now too are inherently evil.
Oh no,
It's just all things built by humans are technology on some level. Even like just like a stick, like a stone taped together is technology.
oh yeah,
Just we don't
totally.
think of it as such. Like everything from the past is like, oh yeah, that seems fine. But everything from the future is kind of scary because we don't know about it,
As someone who
especially with
actually,
like AI and stuff. So maybe there'll people say in 300 years we should go back to old algorithms that generated images, not new algorithms that generate whatever.
back in my day, we used neural net processing. No, absolutely. No, you're right, but I mean, as an engineer, I can certainly say you'd be amazed like how much stuff literally is just taping a rock to a stick. It's like, hey, this worked over here, maybe it'll work over here too. And obviously it's more complicated than that. It's more like, hey, this piece of code and this mathematical technique worked for this problem, maybe it'll work for this problem. Um, that looks like a secret, but it's not. Okay. But it's basically just been that incrementally ever since, the dawn of technology. So, yeah.
Back when the first man decided that the stick and the stone could break the bone. So
Yes, indeed. Out of curiosity, have you ever seen the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey by any chance?
I have not, but I've heard of another similar-ish movie, Quest for Fire, made by the same director, because it mentioned 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Quest for Fire. Is that a Kubrick movie? I don't think I've heard of that one.
I I'm not sure if it's a Kubrick movie, but it was basically released in the 80s, and it
Okay.
was basically about the first humans, or like discovering fire through like a kind of fantasy lens. Like they're like half ape, half man people, even though we are technically apes.
We're
Uh,
big hairy apes with anxiety, essentially.
well, we're not as hairy as our cousins. Our,
Hairless,
our
my
our
mistake.
chiller
Yeah.
cousins, like the bonobos and the gorillas, and our more barbaric cousins, like the chimpanzees.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Actually, I've heard chimpanzees are pretty like easygoing and docile, all things considered.
I think it's because they're very kind of humans in the sense, we're all basically animals, so it's either, and they probably have different personality traits. So, like, for example, you hear about the chimpanzees, like, killing all these, you know, other chimpanzees with like stone tools, and you're just like, oh yeah, they're barbarians. And the dolphins forming gangs or whatever.
Well, I mean,
That's kind of what humans do too.
I was about to
Uh,
say, isn't that what we do? I mean, isn't that what war is
yeah,
effectively? It's just great
we're
big groups of
it's.
chimpanzees killing each other.
I wonder why. I keep wondering why people are so surprised because we literally are just animals. This big fancy tech. We're not special. I'm sorry. Uh,
Yeah, we really
I
aren't.
don't believe in human supremacy.
I I really don't either. I mean, it's like we're a species that, I mean, we happen to have the right kind of brains to make our own environment, but at the end of the day, I mean, I think what separates us, you could make the argument that what separates us from other animals, other mammals, is agency and self-awareness, but you can't really prove that in a scientific sense. At least I don't know
You
of
know
any
what I
way
find
to.
weird?
What do you find
Uh,
weird?
Not to bring up religion here, but I've weird in circles since I'm atheistic. Uh, I guess secular stereotypes of what atheism are don't believe in free will, whereas religious people tend to do will, free will, and I feel like it should be kind of the opposite, actually, from how I think about it. I don't. I'm not sure about free will personally, but it just seems interesting to me that, like, the people who believe in an all-knowing, all-powerful God would believe that free will exists. I don't think it can't under that system at all. Whereas with atheism, or like kind of atheism, it just depends. Atheism is literally just I don't believe in gods. That's it. But
Yeah, of course.
still,
Yeah, of course.
for
Well,
me, the free will argument is really complicated on my end, and I will never have the real answer.
oh,
You
sure.
know,
I mean, the general consensus in Christian circles, which is what I am, is that the we have we have free will to make our own decisions, and it does influence what happens here on Earth. That can work to a greater plan, but we don't understand the mechanisms of that. But I understand how that sounds very unusual, and I certainly wouldn't expect anyone to come around on that argument alone. So
yeah.
I can respect your viewpoint. I certainly had it for the majority of my adult life,
It's
to be fair.
probably better for me to admit I don't know than just saying I know an answer that or pretend to know an answer that I really don't know what I'm talking about.
And I certainly don't. I certainly don't know either. I just have something which I'm pretty sure is true, but I can understand why people wouldn't believe it. So,
We
um,
can only be pretty sure. That's it.
oh sure, yeah. Once again, welcome to our Happy Doom stream, where we talk about death, human nature, and religion. Hope
I
you
mean,
enjoy your stay.
philosophy can be a bit more happy than the road we were talking about previously. So
Oh sure. Well, actually,
this seems more like a neutral topic. So
no, absolutely. I actually really enjoy it. I think it's kind of a cool thing to talk about. I enjoy it thoroughly. Oh shit, Archie. I didn't save. I hope I survive. Ooh, God.
it's kind of like the difference between, I guess, us and other Doom streams. And by other Doom streams, I'm just talking about the sandwich streams because that's the only things I've really seen. Uh, they would never probably talk about philosophy or like
Well, I think that's partially because I mean there's some intellectual cool folks on that stream, but the sand stream is just so
but that's not
chaotic.
the focus on the stream.
Well, it's also just so chaotic. I mean, you've got Sandwich screaming about whatever he's screaming about, and then people talking
Everyone's
about the.
Wiltster is just like, did you know that just talks about and I love it for that.
Me
I don't
too.
want
Oh
them to
yeah.
talk about philosophy or the human condition. That's us. Whereas them is just like, did you know that Doom Kid is trolling again? Oh boy, what's he gonna do now?
What's he gonna
Wacky.
do now?
It was so weird for me, like transitioning from stream Doom Kid, and by stream I mean just watching his like premieres, where he's like the chillest dude, to like the sandwich streams where he's just like completely chaotic and like the biggest troll ever.
He is
Still
he
a
is
great dude. It was jarring for me, like going from chill Doom Kid, who was still nice, to nice Doom Kid, who was also a big chaotic troll.
I think his relationship with Mount Payne has kind of like maybe made him more of a troll. I think he has like a best friend now who's like super logical and super straight faced, and so that gives him the chance to be a foil. And so I don't know though. I didn't know Doom Kid. Oh, I still don't know him personally, but like I haven't seen his
I
videos
can
before
see
Mount Payne, so I don't know. It's just cool to have
Mount
like both
Payne does
sides.
seem like a very enigmatic individual. That's what I'd say he
Yeah,
is.
totally.
I mean, that's just his persona. We don't know who he actually is, and I won't pretend to know.
Oh, sure, yeah. I'm sure
Maybe,
he's.
maybe we both are just a bunch of assholes in real life and a bunch of dumb idiots, and we're just pretending we're smart and nice.
I know.
This is
I know for
we're we're pranking you.
I know for a fact I'm a big dumb asshole. So who tries to be smart and nice but frequently fails, and so we do what we can. I've got a yellow key. Is that a yellow door? I guess we're getting to the point in the WAD where we get lost, which has been, I was warned about, I guess, through the video, but what a pretty place to
Be
get
warned,
lost.
you get lost in Doom Mod.
Ooh, I did a glide. Did you see that?
So, oh yeah.
You can like speed
Also,
up if you
I
do it the
talked
right
about
angle.
this on the previous video, but you never really got to mention your YouTube favorites or from old YouTube back in the days of yore, when humanity was in a barbarous state, first discovering fire. Ancient Egypt was formed, aka 2006 through 2010.
See, I would say it was a more civilized time, kind of like how in Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi is like an elegant weapon from a more civilized age. Then again, I was a kid, so everything seemed better than it did now.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, that's the same for me. I thought 2013. I think I irrationally think 2013 was better than it probably was.
oh sure, yeah. Um, where the heck do I go? I'm sorry, I gotta look for the yellow key exit real quick. Um,
I get stuck frequently in levels all the time that I should not get stuck in. So you're probably better at this than I am.
we'll see. That is not a yellow door. So actually, I didn't get into YouTube really at all until I want to say I was in college. Throughout middle school, so I was born in '94, so I was 12 in 2006 when, well, I guess YouTube came out in 2005. So
You
I
were 11 at the time, and I was 0 years old,
you were a
or
twinkle. Go ahead.
yes, I was born on November 8th, so basically kind of 2006.
You were a twinkle in your father's eye. Um, but what was I gonna say? Yeah, I didn't really get into it at all in high school, mostly because like the recession hit. Is this it? Yes, it is. Okay, nice. The recession hit, the Great Recession, um, right around like 2007, when YouTube was like kind of starting to get big. And I remember actually seeing some family friends and people that I knew like really affected by the recession, and that kind of made me paranoid as a teenager. And so I was kind of like, okay, I really want to like, I don't have trust in corporations or the United States government to like, prevent this from happening again. And so it might happen at some point when I'm an older man, when I'm, in my 20s or older. So I want to get a career that like, um, is kind of proof from this. And so I spent a lot of my high school years just like studying and making as good grades as I could, so I could get some scholarships, go to a good college, and then do a major that was, something that I still enjoyed, but was relatively recession proof. And I ended up doing
I
physics.
kind of relate to your teenage self in that regard because I'm worried about an economic recession actually.
Yeah,
Because I feel like the 21st century is going to be like the bad century in a
I,
million.
I,
Um,
yeah,
and I've heard from people, I'm not sure about another recession happening recently because I've heard from one person who said the banks wouldn't let that happen again. So I don't think we'll have one. But at the same time, I don't know.
the
I can't predict
banks.
economics.
The
So
banks will take care of themselves. I don't think we should trust the banks to take care of us. I mean, they're money making institutions, and that will be their number one prerogative more than
they'll
anything else.
probably shut down once things get bad. And just like, no, you can't have this money. I'm sorry.
Basically, yeah. I mean, there's. Have you ever seen the movie It's a Wonderful Life by any chance?
Um, I have heard of it. but I have not seen it. Unfortunately, I have not been exposed to a lot of media I probably should be. So
No, it's okay. It's an older film. It's from 1946, and so it's a very old movie, black and white. But
Clay.
it's about it covers basically a guy's life from the 20s through the mid 40s, and he's a good man. He's a generous guy, but he falls on a lot of hard times because he is so generous. And it's kind of like, it's actually a really good movie. It's kind of a story about the effects of being a good person in a cynical world, both the positive and negative. And
Never doubt classic movies.
Oh yeah, it's
That's what I've learned.
if anyone hasn't seen it, recommendation right here for It's a Wonderful Life. It's a great film, probably in my top 10. But there's a scene in that where there's a run on the bank, which happened a lot during the Depression, and the bank just shuts down so people can't access their money. And of course, he has a bit of extra cash because he's going on his honeymoon, and he has to use it to like let people actually like go on get their money effectively. So the point of that being, banks back then didn't care about us. Banks now probably won't. So they're a necessary function of a capitalistic society, of any society really. I think.
mean, if they're more secure, they'll be more secure for the people who actually have the money for the banks.
That's true. That's true. It's important to have a system that works, but
Remember, the system didn't care about poor people then, and it doesn't care about poor people now. I'm sorry.
no, yeah, absolutely. So,
I've been told I like to complain a lot, like especially from a good conservative friend of mine, who goes by Iron Knight.
oh yeah,
He's
hey,
like, "You're so cynical all the time," and I'm just like, I don't think I'm cynical. I just feel like I'm stating the fact that I'm just kind of angry at a system.
I can tell you, I can tell you
that
right now.
probably is very cynical, but
I can tell you right now, as someone who's been around the block, I think your anger is justified, all things considered. Oh, here we are. Okay. In fact, I'm quite positive your anger is justified. So, don't, or your concern, I should say. So
I would say concern. I would say I'm not necessarily angry so much as I'm kind of just like, why? Because I'm not being affected by the system right now as much as other people would be. Because I come from an upper middle class family. Both parents are nurses, so I haven't really had to worry about, I haven't been on the ground, let's say, worrying about stuff like that.
Oh yeah, but you also are probably aware you're not immune to it, and you probably have friends who have been hurt. I'm the same way. Like, I grew up relatively well off. I'd say I was kind of like dead center middle class for like family income. I actually remember looking this up one time, and like I think I was like right at the center of the bell curve for like American income with like my family and so forth. So like middle of the road, and my dad had a really steady job growing up, but at the same time, I still worry about the future too, and capitalism, especially in America, just goes through cycles. And I don't think it's unreasonable to want to have some sort of protection against it. I understand it completely.
I feel like I've come to accept, or at least trying to come to accept, that most people in my generation, including myself, will not be as well off as the parents. That's just what happens. They weren't as well off as people. They weren't as well off as their parents. I won't be as well off. If my parents were nurses, I might be a truck driver. So I know my sister wanted to get into medical school, but it wasn't for money reasons. I think it was just because of grades, but still,
Oh, sure. I've heard truck drivers.
You are not immune.
No, you are not. And we don't say that to scare people. Just it's good to have some honesty with yourself about these sorts of things. And if you make the right.
Don't be scared. Be prepared.
And the lesson here, I think, is, be prepared, and then also take care of your friends and have a network who you can fall back on, because you live and die by the people who care about you and your own community. And so have a group of people.
I think what I'll do personally is I'll probably stay with my parents for a lot longer than people probably used to, although I think the culture is kind of changing about staying with your parents once you become an adult, just so I have like a system to fall back on. If I lose a job or like saving up for a house or whatever.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Also,
I'd rather live in like I think I'll probably try to aim for like a townhome or a smaller house than like the one I currently live in right now.
Oh yeah.
Even though I think it's really nice and I'd like to have that, it's just I need to be realistic.
I understand, of course, too. I mean, I'm aiming for
Townhomes aren't that bad. We have a lot of them too, so and they're
Oh,
probably a lot better than the suburbs we have, just constantly crowding up.
yeah, no. I mean, I want to get like a small, like one floor house, like out in the middle of nowhere eventually. With me and my girlfriend whenever we get together. And just kind of like live happily there. I don't want a big place, but some place where I can like still save and not worry too much about if things go south. So financially, that is.
Yeah, I'd rather live on kind of the outskirts, not so much in the middle of nowhere, because that has its own problems. That we shouldn't glorify the wilderness, even though I like it.
Oh, sure, yeah. Yeah. No, I can respect that. Also, I'm gonna.
I'm probably the pot calling the kettle black, but I keep making fun of rich white people all the time.
No, you're fine. I do the
Yeah.
same thing. I mean, I think it's a culture we're a part of, and so we kind of have a window into like its
Yeah.
issues.
They're just like dumb, and then they're very impulsive, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, that's so cool. It's trendy."
And
Well,
yeah, it almost feels disingenuous. Like a lot of people have wool pull over their eyes to kind of real problems and systemic issues. So like for me, like I've been an environmentalist for like as long as I can remember, and so ever since I've been like a kid, I've been like, why the fuck aren't people doing more to like look after this planet, which is like providing us with life and like helping us like live and so forth. It's
I know.
pretty fucking
I think
important.
George Carlin said about that. It's about, and then the rich white red bulls came along and said, "Oh, we're not making the planet safe for everyone else. We're going to make it safe for our Volvos."
Yeah. Also, it makes me really happy you're familiar with George Carlin. He is
Yeah,
my favorite.
I've listened to a lot of his stuff.
He's probably my favorite comedian. Like, I listen to John Williams when I just want to like laugh and like feel good. I listen to George Carlin when I want to like, I don't know. I don't want to say be more realistic, but like have more of a perspective, I guess.
I remember one thing that really impacted me, which was kind of related to your environmentalism, was saving the planet. It's just like, you shouldn't try to save the planet because the planet will be fine without us. It'll be completely fine.
Oh yeah, he was like, I think he was like, the planet's fine. The people are fucked.
Yeah. I mean, even if we like pollute the planet a bunch, our overall impact will still be negligible. That doesn't mean we shouldn't try to fix problems now.
Well, yeah. I mean,
it just means that
Sorry,
we're kind of insignificant.
I mean, the whole.
I know we want to save the polar bears and stuff, but
Well, the whole reason I think, and not to put this too bluntly, but I think if I'm honest with myself, and I think if a lot of environmentalists are, the whole reason we care for the planet isn't necessarily because we're altruistic or because we have any grave delusions about, saving the world and so forth. It's because we want to actually have a future.
Yeah.
It's not.
And a planet that's not overly polluted, overly industrialized.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know where to go.
Life finds a way, but it will suck.
Oh, this has a cool plasma sound. Nice.
Remember, life finds a way, but finding that way will suck greatly for everyone involved.
I don't know if I should pick up the Megasphere. Probably not. No, absolutely. And it's... I need a blue key. Okay. Life will find a way with or without us, and we have the unique position over the next couple decades to decide what that will be as a society, and so...
Yeah. We shouldn't try to save the pandas. We should try to save the species that are actually important, for example. That's what I'll say.
Well, if we can save the pandas too, that'd be really, really cool. I like pandas a lot. But no, I hear
I
what you.
despise pandas.
Oh,
I
really?
despise
Why?
pandas.
They're so cuddly. Why do you hate pandas?
They are like the most bumbling, foolish animals ever, and they crush their own babies. They are like so lazy and so sloth-like that the fact that they've survived for 2 million years is like a miracle.
All right.
Why are we keeping them alive? Humans are basically keeping them on life support.
I I
We
I I respect your opinion. I guess I disagree, but I respect your opinion. Also, I have
I don't
no
like
idea.
outright hate pandas, even though I said I despise them. I just despise them in the sense that like they're taking other valuable resources away from animals that actually do real
Ah, okay.
care about the environment or like affect the environment more. Like pandas are very, very specialized species. Sure, they're like cute and all. I
I
can see that, but like they only eat bamboo, and like if we got rid of them, it wouldn't really impact the circle of life. I'm not saying like kill them all or whatever. I'm just saying we only save them because they're cute looking rather than just like, oh yeah, look at the big fish. He's more important to the environment, but he's not cute. He's ugly. We shouldn't save him.
I have a similar vendetta against people who say that we should like not use nuclear power because it's like because of the toxic waste because it's
I love
like
nuclear power.
hell fucking yeah, bro.
Nuclear.
You are my best friend. But but no, I mean I'm a nuclear engineer, so obviously I have a bias. But the whole reason I got into nuclear is because it's like it's our best shot for actually having a carbon-free society by the end of the century. Because
Sure, I get Chernobyl and Fukushima happened, but you know,
compared to the deaths of the thousands of workers and the you know not just the carbon tax but also the cancer tax from runoff from coal factories and coal slags and earth stripping operations and so forth, everything that goes into carbon manufacturing, it's or coal and gas kind of production, it the cost on human life is the same if not worse. I think people are just scared of radiation, which
they're
is
scared because nuclear war taught them to be scared.
yeah,
Which is fair, but
unfortunately.
I will say, if we just decommissioned all the bombs that we have now and then just converted them into nuclear energy, we would probably be much better off. And also, I think the other thing holding back nuclear energy is probably the level of technology for actual plants themselves. Like they're
Yeah.
probably stuck 40 to 50 years behind probably what they should have been,
Well,
in my opinion.
I actually have an insight on that. Part of it is that they're just very expensive, and we totally have enough, U-235 and U-238 to like supply the world with power, but it would cost a lot more to reinstall the infrastructure than just to maintain the current carbon infrastructure, unfortunately. And so that's why. Oh, Archvile. Um, and so that's why it's so critical to make designs which are number one safer and number
Unfortunately,
two,
companies like to cut costs, so
yeah, and to try to create a design which is number
what, the
one.
expensive thing will help the planet? That's boring, dude.
That I mean that's essentially the problem, yeah, and trying to make it so a big part of the emphasis is making designs which are actually cost competitive with coal, and we're actually getting pretty darn close. Not to toot my own horn, but the company I work for is working on a design which is like we went from being 5 times more expensive than oil and gas to like twice, and now we're like 1.5. So it's like we are getting there, and we're not there yet, but we're getting there. Oh god, there's two of them. Holy shit. I need a BFG is what I need. Holy mackerel.
That reminds me, there was a person who made a car powered with water, and the oil companies got really mad at that.
Yes, I actually, oh my god. All right, so I actually did a project on them in high school. I remember this was back in like 2010. I remember you could find like papers and like articles about this guy who had created this car effectively, which, as you said, could run on water, and it was like a unique kind of battery. And I remember, I didn't publish it obviously in like a white paper journal, but I like put it online on like our school's website, and it was like on the project website and so forth, and so it was like available online. And I went back and looked at it a couple of years ago, and it was not there anymore, while everyone else's project still was, including the guy who went and worked for ExxonMobil. And so I'm like, I wonder what that's all about.
That's
I'm
suspicious.
not.
I heard
I'm not saying
something
there was some
mysterious happened to the guy.
I'm not saying there was some chicanery, but I think there might have been some chicanery. I don't know. And all the websites I used to make that.
I'm not.
All the websites that I used to make that project are now taken down too. And so oil companies buying up technologies and then shutting them down, sitting on them, and making them unavailable to the public, as well as preventing all information from getting out.
I'm not saying corporations do bad things and shut down technology. I'm just saying corporations do bad things and shut down technology.
Yes, they do. Also, don't be surprised if this video gets taken down. And we won't know a thing about it.
Are stupid? No. They won't notice because we're playing Doom. They won't take us seriously.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Also, just a quick moment of appreciation. Oh, look at this. This is a cool room. You got a little stream coming out with a little waterfall going into a little teleporter. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
I love the vibe of this mod. Let's do one more level if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
So anyway.
Also, what is your favorite mod outside of Doom? If you want to go to a more lighthearted thing for the last kind of bit.
Go through our list of topics.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I don't.
Outside of Doom specifically, like mods. For me, it would probably be a mod called I think it was Lost Cities for Minecraft, which basically just added a bunch of like vanilla compatible structures that just added like ruins of like modern cities. And I thought that was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
The other one is probably cool on Call of Cthulhu for Mario World.
Hell yeah.
I'm still trying to get into it. The only problem is I keep dying on the first level for no reason.
Yeah.
Probably because I'm using a keyboard and mouse for Mario, so...
Well, it's definitely not a Kaizo set, but it's a harder than average set, to be sure. So just keep at it. You'll get the mechanics down. I have to confess, outside of Doom, I'm not much of a gamer or have much, history or relationship with other games. But I do enjoy the occasional Mario hack. I really enjoyed Return to Dinosaur Land. Ooh, look at this. Look at this. This is aesthetic as hell. Or aesthetic as Egypt, I should say. Look at those textures in the fountain. Oh man, that's actually really cool. I like that a lot. I'm going to take a quick screen cap of that. That's awesome.
I might need to like replicate that sometime. It's a cool effect.
Also, this is completely random, but I was actually sketching some layouts for potential levels for Loom today during my lunch break. So I'm going to try to put those into the editor sometime this weekend. And
you're doing the Eduardo and Fringe strategy, because I know he draws his levels on paper.
Yeah, I'm still figuring out what works best for me. I think I found, like, if I just doodle lines in the editor, I have some I don't come up with as good designs, but, like, if I do it on pen and paper, I like it. I've always been more of, like, a tactile kind of pen and paper kind of guy. But, shoot, what were we talking about? Mods for video games, yeah, so...
Yeah.
So I really like Mario mods too. I really love Return to Dinosaur Land and Mario for All Seasons. And
I need to look into Mario for All Seasons because that sounds like kind of right up my alley.
It's very cool. It's very ooh, what's this do? It's very how do I describe it? It's very like it's harder than Mario World, but it's got a very, very, very chill vibe, and so I really enjoy it a lot. If you play,
we play anything else on the channel that isn't Doom related, we could probably do that.
I was actually, it's like you read my mind, dude. I was actually gonna recommend to you like sometime this month that we like play some Super Nintendo stuff or some lighter like
That would be
platformers.
pretty epic.
Hell
We
yeah.
could make the we could reveal it on the here since it's being uploaded.
Hell yeah,
Our
dude.
main channel focus could still be like Doom, but we'll have other sides on the content. So maybe non-Doom people will get into this and be like, "Oh yeah, Doom's pretty cool." Whereas
Absolutely.
Doom people can find new stuff outside of the game we all know and love. You know,
Absolutely. I've actually
if
wanted
you
to.
ever get tired of Doom and then decide to come back to it like 10 years later.
Hell yeah. Ooh, the plasma rifle has a blue light on it now rather than a red one. That's kind of cool. No, I'd actually really love to play some Super Nintendo games with you. There's a lot which I really, really love, and if there's any that you're interested in, I'd love to like showcase them.
We could do Call of Cthulhu during like Halloween season or like
Hell yeah,
fall season.
that would be super cool. Also, how did the
I could try to look into some like hacks as well because there's probably something for like Link to the Past or Super Metroid. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
that we
Whoa,
could do.
there's so like Super Metroid is like probably oh, hi. Super Metroid is probably like the most hacked game there is. Not just Super Nintendo game, but just game period. And so there's plenty. God, I had a list. I used to be really into Super Nintendo stuff before I got into Doom. I have a list somewhere on a hard drive with a lot of like really, really, really good Super Metroid hacks that we could work through. So, oh man, I love this idea. This will be so cool.
Yeah, we revealed early. You know, if we want to do another FPS, if you or I ever get Quake, we could do Arcane Dimensions.
Ooh, I've heard that one's really good too. Um, so, but yeah, mostly just for me, Super Mario stuff, and that's really it. I don't do much mods for video games outside of stuff for Doom. Like I enjoy emulating Super Nintendo games, but those aren't mods really.
I can see that. You know, you
I've got
don't always need a big library of games. You just need those few games that
oh sure
have good
yeah.
core mechanics, and you can just find a bunch of custom content for.
Oh sure yeah. Like I've played a lot of like fan made maps for Team Fortress 2, but those are available on the Steam website, so I wouldn't call it like strictly speaking a mod, so to speak. And I've played like a lot of Skyrim too, but like all the mods on there are also like free to download. So, though in truth, I mean, I've still played Skyrim just vanilla. I actually haven't got around to the mods just because it's such a huge, awesome game.
Fair enough.
Ooh, this is an aesthetic room. I like it.
You know what I thought of actually doing as a sprite project? I wanted to adapt various Doom mods as Mario World mods and make that a sprite list.
That'd be
For
pretty cool.
example, let's say I just take the textures directly from the set and then like modified them to be more Mario Worldy. And then let's
Ooh,
say Ancient Aliens as a Mario hack or like BTSX as a. I thought Ev Eternity could work really, really well as like a Mario theme.
Klaesick.
I
I
think.
love that idea. So you take like these textures and like work with the lighting and incorporate them into the background so that they can be like their own kind of like theme or world, kind of like how there's Star World and there's like the Forbidden Forest in Mario World. Um, that's a really cool idea. I like that a lot.
I know there's like the Mario 64 sound font out there, but I need to find like a Mario World one. I
Oh
feel
yeah.
like what I would do is probably take the soundtracks of them, the MIDI soundtracks, and just do them in the Mario style, and then have like a slideshow of like various like fake levels, right? You know, with the theme, of course. I've never seen a techno theme really done in Mario either. Like with Doom, you know, we're very used to tech bases, whereas like Mario is just like, what's that? Is that something ducks walk on?
Yeah, totally. No, it's a compelling idea. I think that could be really awesome. Um, I know there's been a lot of like Mario themes, but actually, you know, I'm willing to bet there's like Metroid stuff because Metroid is very like techy.
Metroid is very Doom, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of its creepy atmosphere and its music and so forth.
I actually found like an old artwork a long time ago that I'll send you after the recording. It was basically Samus and Doom guy fused.
Oh
And I
yeah,
was like, you know what? That actually makes a lot of sense.
it really does. That's actually like I actually kind of ship the two of them personally. I think they're a cool like potential couple. But
They're very similar.
yeah, totally.
I'm all about the Luigi X Samus ship though because Luigi's my guy.
Oh sure, I gotcha. Luigi is the man.
I'm not as familiar with Daisy though, although I know people like Daisy, which is fine. I bet Luigi would work better for a stoic warrior type that can defend him rather than just like, "Hi, I'm Daisy." Nothing against Daisy though, but you know.
No, I mean I'm very unfamiliar. The only Mario game I've ever played is Mario World. Well, and Yoshi's Island as well. So just the Super Nintendo stuff, but like
I'm trying to get into Mario All Stars currently on Switch with Mario 3 because I really like those games and I played the Lost Levels on emulation a bit ago. I actually got a fair ways far for younger me, so
that's really cool. I booted up Mario All Stars a while ago and tried Mario 3, and I love the control scheme, but Mario World to me is just a little bit more immersive, and so
I kind of the opposite actually.
Really,
Although I really like the graphics of Mario 3 better than Mario World personally. Although I still like Mario World, of course.
no kidding.
I think Mario 3 has a stronger kind of vision, I would say, and it's also it's more difficult than Mario World, granted. Um, but I think that game has like a better control scheme over Mario World because Mario and Mario World he's very flat is kind of the wrong word, but I'd say that's the best word. Like he's very flat with his jumps, or just like drop like a penny the second he reaches a high peak. Whereas with Mario 3, they're slightly more floaty, and it's a bit easier to control jumps than let's say Mario World.
Yeah, that's a good point. I will say that was something I really liked about 3 is like I remember like looking at some of the platforming early on and thinking about how it was like how the heck can I wait a minute. Oh. Oh, that's what you do. Oh, I see why people they say this is a puzzle set. So you had to like flip that switch and then shoot across the way. Oh, that's cool. Some people don't like puzzles, but I really like this. This is cool. SR50 over here. But no, I dig you, like, and then when I actually like got used to the control scheme, I was like, oh, this is actually really tight. I can actually control Mario in the air. I like it. So I can see the appeal and I understand why people like it better.
Mario 2 is also a good game on its own, although it's different with you can't jump on enemies and stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mario 1 is still classic, but I prefer Super Mario Cross over Mario 1.
Oh, sure.
Like, just because it's a classic doesn't mean that it doesn't have flaws.
Mario 1, I feel like Mario 1 is to Mario 3 what like Wolfenstein is to Doom. It was like Wolfenstein is a very good game in its own right, and it laid the groundwork for a lot of what Doom is. But
that is like the perfect comparison. I made a similar comparison before whenever I tried to talk to Doom Kid. Like I always said, like Doom 2 is like Mario 3, and then like Doom 1 is Mario 1, basically.
yes.
Although I'd say Doom 2 is a bit more lost levels than Mario 3 in terms of like gameplay design, because it's a bit more challenging and a bit more like experimental, and it generally has the same graphics and gameplay.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna die. I'm just gonna load before I die. Oh, it's saved all the way back here. Lame. Okay. No, I agree wholeheartedly. It's like both games laid an excellent foundation that were then built upon by the following genre. Some people would say Quake built on it even more, but I feel like Quake took things in a different direction. Doom is very much kind of like a middleman for or a middle step for FPS. There's nothing quite like it, which I think is why
I'd say Wolfenstein is the granddaddy and Doom is the daddy.
Oh yeah, I've heard that before, and I think that's a good way of saying it.
Mine so has.
Say what?
I said mine so was. I keep mispronouncing like the German speech from Wolfenstein 3D. So
Gotcha.
I remember I actually thought mein Leben meant my death, not my life, originally, which I don't know why I thought that.
That's funny. Wait, so what does mein Leben mean?
My life, like their life fades away as you shoot them into chunky kibbles.
I did not know that. Interesting. You learn something new.
I mean,
every day.
Germanic languages, so it's kind of easier to understand. Let's say Japanese for my life. So.
No, absolutely. I always just giggled because it sounds like they're saying shoe shuffle. There's like shoe shuffle.
Shoe shuffle.
Shoe shuffle. It's like, hey, they're shuffling their shoes.
I really like that reminds me of the blood voice effects from the cultists.
Oh yeah.
It's like
oh yeah. Hada hada ha, and so on and so forth. No, I love their.
I actually wanted to use those for like SS replacement, where I basically take the voice clips from the cultists, but like make them like muffled, kind of like the Combine from Half-Life 2.
That could be pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I always like how they did that in Half-Life 2 because like it makes them like even more dehumanized, and it's a cool thing. I like what they did.
Half-Life 2 is basically a game about dehumanization and the adaptation of the human spirit. That's what I'd say.
Really?
Because you're kind of faced with like overwhelming odds in Half-Life 2 all the time, but then you turn. Then at some point, once you're used to it, you take the weapon they were using or whatever, and then you use that against them.
All right.
You know.
I need to once again. I need to finish it, but that sounds right on.
Have you heard of Dark Life? Have you heard of Dark Life 2?
Also,
it's a new mod coming out that's basically they switch all the day locations to night and all the night locations to day, which I think is pretty interesting.
Interesting. Also, I don't mean to
It's
brag.
still being worked on, but you know.
I don't mean to brag, but I'm hitting 3-pointers with secrets this time around. I'm doing really well.
I'm not good at secrets, so
neither am
I'm
I.
glad you are.
I think this WOD just has me kind of in a secret hunting kind of mood. It's aesthetic and atmospheric as all get out, and it's really cool.
And they're designed to be that way, so.
Oh, absolutely. That sounds cool though. I'll have to check that out at some point.
If we do a weird kind of thing on the channel, what we could do, you could do GM Doom for the entirety of Half-Life 2.
That could be.
Although you'd have to like spawn like ammo though.
That could be pretty cool.
Just Doom weapons and Half-Life 2, that would be pretty cool.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't know a lot about the Source engine, but that could be a lot of fun.
There was also a demo a long time ago that wasn't finished for Half-Life 1 that remade the Knee Deep in the Dead levels in Half-Life style.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And then instead of calling him Freeman, they called him Blazkowicz. A little reference to Wolfenstein.
I like that. That's fun. I like the idea that Doom Guy is BJ Blazkowicz, kind of like great grandson or whatever.
Yeah. Doom is a very ambiguous time. I tend to put Doom in the 2040s for whatever reason.
2040s. All right. I like to put it like 200 years in the future. So like, you know, not quite Star Trek, but kind of getting there, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And when they do 2100 in the new Doom game,
yeah,
I'd say my ideal time could be either 2040s just because of the Doom movie, even though, I know people don't like that movie, but it's blocky and fun at least.
I've never seen it myself.
It's not a good adaptation of the game, but I like it in the same way that I like Super Mario movie from 1993, not the new one. I am seeing that the weekend of recording this, but the 1993 one specifically, where it's just like, it's not the best adaptation overall, but they did put some amount of effort into it, and it's fun. I wouldn't say good or whatever, because good is subjective, and I don't think the writing itself is that good for either, but they're fun movies to watch,
Oh, sure,
They're
yeah.
like the Michael Bay Transformers, where you could just like put them on in the background and love like doing something else, or
That's
like laugh at it with your friends. Look how
right.
stupid this is. You're having a good time.
I know people who hate the Michael Bay Transformers movies, but to me, like, I don't know, they came out when I was a teenager, and I kind of enjoyed seeing them when I was like 17 and so forth, and so I'm like, yeah, they're bad, but I think they're pretty harmless, all things considered. But what do I know?
It's full of Michael Bay isms, which is usually weird sex things. That's what I feel people dislike about it probably the most.
Oh no, a cyber emond.
You must be careful.
You must be careful. Oh, that's one of my favorite episodes. So funny. Oh my god, this is a veritable
What
slaughter.
do you mean? This is Sunlust. This is not any other one. Best Doomwad to ever Doomwad.
Oh yes. Were you around for when Knights 108 like made Sandwich it through that? And like every single level he was like 10 out of 10, A plus, and Sandwich was just like
I wasn't
shook.
there for that, unfortunately.
He was just,
I joined in September.
oh, Sandy was so miserable. It was I think that was like October.
Unfortunately.
But
Unfortunately, April Fool's has passed. I told Dark Pulse about this on the game nights on my server, on my private server, but it was basically for April Fool's Day. I wanted to send Sandwich, like, convince him the project I was working on for the 30th anniversary was Sunless 2, and then have, I guess, quote unquote paid actors, even though they're not paid. Kind of like you saying, it's like, trust me, it's like the best thing ever. He's the next Rivix. And then it's just Mach 2 with some less textures.
yeah,
And then
totally.
Sandwich would be pissed. You'd be like, what?
I think that'd be pretty. I don't know how complex that would be in UDMF, which I'm pretty sure is what.
I would just port the textures over and then just like change them out for like the first level. I also wanted to do the audio from the Mount Pain video specifically, so he gets the joke.
I can dig it. That could be a lot of fun.
Like you just hear Sandwich screaming "Why?" while it's like Act 1 in defense of demon sex. I don't know. I like a good puzzle map. Great.
Yeah, no, totally. No,
He'd probably hate me for all eternity, but I think it would be worth it.
No, absolutely, absolutely.
I'm like Muscle Man from Regular Show, and everybody does the "your mom" joke.
You know who is you? My mom.
Get out! It was working.
That's one of my favorites.
I have been so overexposed to your mom jokes from a certain friend group I'm in that I'm just like, oh boy, here they come.
No,
Remember, a joke can be funny, but if it's overplayed, then it's not funny.
Oh, sure, and it's all in delivery, and even a great joke gets bad with repetition. I guess this is the end. I don't know. Ooh, wait, it's coming down.
Is this a dead simple?
I was about
remake?
I was about to think that, but I just looked at the map number and it's map 8, so it's not a dead simple clone. The last map was, but this one is not, which is unusual. What's the next question on our list, out of curiosity?
The next question on our list is
Oh god.
differences in state and area, like where we live.
What the? Oh, they're behind me. Holy cow. Okay, sorry.
You're in Washington, right?
Yes, I moved here a little less than a year ago now.
I've been a Coloradoan, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I really love the landscapes of the state I'm in, especially.
I'll tell you,
Um,
man.
I know I'm biased because I was born there and lived there, but you know,
I
uh, I'm proud of being a Coloradoan. So
I I I hear you. I was born in North Carolina, but lived in Virginia for graduate school, and then I spent 2 years doing work in New Mexico. And I think I can honestly say, from a cultural perspective and from a landscape beauty perspective, and honestly also from a cost of living perspective, um, the Southwest is like my favorite region in the United States. The wide open spaces, the big mountains, the general lack of people is wonderful. Um, it's so nice. I'm not sure if I want to leave with this low health. Um, I, I spent a lot of time like hiking in Colorado, and it's a beautiful place. Like, if I can ever get into a situation, like, I really, really love the job I have now, but if I can ever get into a situation where I like keep my job like telework in Colorado, that'd be like the perfect situation because it's just such a gorgeous state.
I really, whenever we went on to road trips or whatever, I really appreciate getting to look at the landscapes more. Because where we live in Colorado, we can see the Rockies, but we're a lot more like hilly and stuff, and like mountainous or forested. You know,
Oh
so I
yeah,
appreciate
totally.
seeing more of that. Like we
Absolutely.
went to Pagosa Springs in October, 2022. So
Oh, that's such a cool place to hang out. I would sometimes, so I lived kind of like close to Santa Fe, just like north and west. Yes, north and west of Santa Fe. Um, in a little town outside of Los Alamos for a while, and it was um, a beautiful place to live. And sometimes I would like drive 2 hours up to Pagosa Springs to just like camp and spend a weekend and so forth. And it's a really cool drive because like northern New Mexico is like mountainous but still very much a desert. And like as you drive north in just 2 hours, you go from like mostly desert and shrubs to like big tall pine trees and like forests and so forth. And so
yeah,
it's quite something.
uh,
It's really awesome.
we also went to Moab in March of 2021, which is pretty cool.
Oh
So
hell yeah, Moab is awesome. I went there with my
I wish
parents.
I could send pictures, but my old phone destroyed itself in April of 2022. So
Oh, I'm sorry. No,
yeah,
I've lost photos that way too. But no, Moab is beautiful as well. I actually spent Christmas of 2020 with my parents there, um, and really enjoyed it. Though I remember it was like record cold temperatures then. It was like -10 the entire time we were there. But we didn't care. We just stayed in our little Airbnb and had a nice Christmas together. So it was really nice.
we had a hot tub where we stayed, so
Ooh, that's nice.
that would be very nice during like the Christmas time. You know,
But no, yeah, I like Washington. It's all right. It's where I am right now, and which is kind of in the Seattle area, is very crowded though, and very expensive. And so if I could move further afield and like, oh no, I'm gonna die. If I can move further afield and like be able to have my own place like far away, that'd be nice. But again, I like my job, but I'm not the biggest fan of the state. The culture is very like hoity-toity for me, and I it's not something I appreciate that much, I guess.
fair enough.
So,
I'd like to go when I'm an adult. I'd probably like to go around see my state specifically. I'm not sure if I would like tour the world, mainly just like my state. Although I'd like to go to East Asia or probably Germany sometime if I have the money for that.
Germany's a pretty cool place. I I worked in Darmstadt for a summer, and that was a whole lot of fun. The Germans are very down to earth people, much more so than a lot of Americans I know, and they're a lot more kind of like honest, I think.
They've
Which,
been humbled. If you can say one
yes.
good thing about the Second World Wars, they've definitely humbled the Germans, hopefully.
Well, I think that's a perfect way of putting it. They have no delusions about the superiority of their culture the way I think some Americans do, and it's refreshing, honestly. They're like, even the most civilized country can turn bad if you don't have protections against bad people taking power. And
I feel
they,
like it's because also the general culture of Western Europe the second before the World Wars was united Germany is a very bad thing. And
yes,
then Germany united. World War One, everybody was bad. I would say. I
yeah.
don't think Germany was
There was no
especially evil or whatever.
there was no good guy in World War One, I would say.
It was all just imperialistic powers kicking the crap out of each other, and then Germany just happened to be the loser. I would say
Essentially, yeah, I would say. Um,
it's not like I feel like World War Two is really the only clean war we've had in the sense where we know who the bad guys are.
and even then, that's on a nationalistic perspective. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
how do you judge
like
the
think of the
measure?
Japanese and all the horrible things they did.
Well, and I'm sure I've heard stories of American and French atrocities as well. I mean, if you grow up a German man and you're expected to join the army, you don't really have a choice. I mean, is that really your fault? I mean, yeah, it's your own moral responsibility to stand up for your beliefs, but how many young men probably did that and were executed? And so, yeah, it was moral from a nationalistic perspective, but there's
From
there was probably a lot of
people
young
perspective.
probably a lot of young men who didn't want to go to war, didn't believe in the Nazi propaganda, who lost their lives. So
I
anyway,
remember there was this one. I know it was a bit depressing, but there was this one thing I found, or just like two movies. I think one scene from Saving Private Ryan that isn't translated. It was basically one guy, one Nazi soldier, put his gun down and then like saying, "I'm Czech, I'm Czech. I don't fight for them," and he got killed.
yes, I
Um,
remember that. Yeah.
there was also this one movie. I forgot the name of it, but it was a Danish officer who started questioning what he was doing when a bunch of young German boys who got drafted into the army, like right after the Second World War, they had to go through like and disarm minefields, and it was very dangerous. So,
I seem to
no,
remember that, but I don't remember the name of the film. Also, I hate to do this, but I'm getting really tired, and I think I'm gonna have to call it a night here. But uh, but we can
thanks for
continue.
sticking around this long, and we'll
Yeah, I
get to
know.
the next episode of this episode later. So, for all you people out there, hopefully we'll have more chill adventures that aren't just Doom, and hopefully aren't as serious.
Well, I mean, I think we present it in like a pretty chill way. So, yeah, let us know if you like it or not. But whatever the case, take it easy. Have a good day wherever you are, and see you guys next time.
Bye bye.